and which decision the bench went on to distinguish. This was exceptionally incomprehensible. Dear Kenyans, in this regard, earlier today, I held a consultative engagement with my legal team led by Senior Counsel Paul Kibuge-Muite, and we have clearly analyzed the judgment and have instructed them to challenge this judgment at the Court of Appeal. For avoidance of doubt, I moved to the High Court to fight for my rights and those of Kenyans who participated in the 2022 general elections that have been violated. My prayer was to seek the quashing of an illegal process of impeachment. It is only after the determination of illegality, as has already happened, and setting aside of the impeachment, as should have happened, we were to consider asking for damages for constitutional violations. The 50 million Kenya shillings awarded to me is an insult to my fundamental rights and freedoms and a mockery of the Constitution. We are not interested. Money was never the issue here. Justice and constitutional supremacy was. I am one Kenyan leader who will not and cannot be swayed by promises of money to allow violation of the Constitution. I stand as a matter of principle to protect constitutional rights and defend the Constitution. This is an oath that I sow, and Kenyans know me for that. If I was interested in money, Mr. William Ruto had offered me 2 billion Kenya shillings in an effort to entice me avoid impeachment and choose resignation. But I stood for my rights and that of over 7 million Kenyans who voted for me. I rejected this offer and faced the National Assembly. This is in public domain. No offer, no amount of money can stand between me, my rights, and the rights of the citizens of Kenya under the Constitution. So if I could reject 2 billion, offering me 50 million is a serious joke. And a retired principal called me last night, listening to the judgment, that my rights were violated, but if the impeachment is vacated, there will be a constitutional crisis because there will be 2 deputy presidents. And this lady who has gone to school summarized the whole argument in a very simple manner. She told me it was like a man who wants to take your wife and organizes with the police to prefer false charges against you, connives with the magistrate to have you imprisoned so that he can take your wife. And then you are imprisoned without undergoing fair trial. While serving your sentence, you move to the High Court to challenge the imprisonment. And the judge of the High Court comes to the conclusion that the imprisonment was unfair, it was wrong, because he was not given fair hearing. Then the judge goes to pronounce that he is unable to release the prisoner because in his absence, his wife was married by another man. And if he releases that man to go back home, there will be a crisis in the village because there will be 2 husbands. And then he tells the prisoner, let me look for some little money to give you, continue staying in prison so that the men who took your wife can continue enjoying in your matrimonial home. Fellow Kenyans, my supporters and Kenyans from across the country have reached out to me. They are enraged, bitter, and apprehensive about the false narratives being spread by the state that I'm ineligible to run for office as President of the Republic of Kenya. This is a desperate and false propaganda by those terrified of my candidature. William Ruto knows Gachagua is the man to send him home. And those around him are terrified of my candidature. That is why we had this very, very embarrassing judgment yesterday of finding that my right to fair trial was violated, but then the impeachment cannot be lifted. This is a desperate and false propaganda by those terrified of my candidature. Article 99, Sabbatical 3 of our Constitution provides in clear and ambiguous terms that no person shall be barred from vying as a candidate in any election unless and until all avenues of appeal are exhausted. This erroneous judgment of the bench previously determined by the Court of Appeal have been unlawfully empaneled has taken nearly 2 years. And that was just the initial stage of the appellate process. I will be vindicated by the Court of Appeal, hopefully, once again, with a further protection at the Supreme Court still in my hand. I wish to confirm to my supporters across the country that I'm eligible to vie as a presidential candidate, and I'll be on the ballot on the 10th of August 2027, should the formula that will be agreed upon by the United Alternative Government favor me as a single presidential candidate. When I was hounded out of office in October 2024, I retreated to my village in Wamonyoro and held consultative engagements with the people of Kenya for 4 months, including men, women, millennials, Gen Zs, the clergy, lay Christians, professionals, business people, retired civil servants, and opinion leaders. And after exhaustive consultations for 4 months, talking to more than 15,000 people, I was instructed to form a political party, solidify Mount Kenya political base, and look for friends across the country. This I have successfully done. The mountain is united to a man, and we now have arguably the most popular political party in the country, DCP. My support base is consolidated in totality, and I have looked for friends across the country. My supporters have now instructed me urgently to embark on the implementation of our joint strategic stance from the Wamonyoro residents for a period of 45 days. After a tour of Western Kenya, where I want to go and support my deputy party leader, Cleo Malala and Eugene Wamalwa over the weekend, from Monday, I'll come in Wamonyoro village for 45 days to start exhaustive and extensive consultations with my supporters and opinion leaders and stakeholders on the formula of identifying a single presidential candidate to face President William Ruto. Following the High Court ruling, my 60-member